So if different groups of people truly pray to entirely different gods,
Right.
and if every distinct belief system has its own, like, completely separate divine reality, why didn't each of those gods just create a separate planet for their followers?
It's the ultimate thought experiment, isn't it?
Right. I mean, think about it. Why are we all sharing the exact same air, the same soil, the exact same water?
Because we act as though we live in these entirely different realities, realities defined by the walls of our specific beliefs, but gravitation pulls us all down exactly the same way. The sun doesn't ask for your labels before it warms your face.
Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
We are tackling a massive, really provocative proposal today. It's essentially a sequence of 12 reflections, an inner quest, really.
Yeah, and it asks us to rethink the very foundation of how we categorize the world. Because, society usually tells us to put things in rigid boxes.
Oh, absolutely. It's like, this is mundane, but that is sacred. This person is ordinary, but that person is holy.
Exactly. But today, we're exploring a framework that basically throws out the boxes entirely. It argues for recognizing a fluid divinity in everything.
And we should definitely clarify right up front, this is just an invitation. It's not a mandate.
No, not at all. The framework we're exploring today is presented purely as a proposal. It's not asking you to, discard your life or blindly accept some new dogma.
Right. It's just offering a lens. Take what makes sense, debate it, test it against your own experience. But to even begin testing it, this framework suggests we have to upgrade our tools first.
Yes. If we're going to look at the world differently, we have to start by looking at how we define knowledge itself.
Which is a pretty big shift. Because today, we usually just equate knowledge with data. All right.
We do. If you have a smartphone in your pocket, you technically have access to more raw information than any ancient philosopher could have ever imagined.
But having information isn't the same as having understanding. And that's where this proposal introduces a very specific concept called Gyan.
Gyan. And just be clear, this isn't just about passing a test or reading a library full of books.
No. Gyan is defined here as the intersection of three very specific things: knowledge, self-control, and self-discipline. It's explicitly defined as self-controlled and self-disciplined energy.
Yes.
But let me play devil's advocate for a second. Why add the self-control and discipline part? If I know a fact, I know a fact. Why isn't raw knowledge enough?
Because raw knowledge, without the discipline to apply it wisely, is just, it's chaotic potential. Think about the internet. It's this massive ocean of raw information, but without self-control, without the discipline to discern what's true, what's helpful, and how to actually use it constructively.
It just creates anxiety.
Exactly. Anxiety, division, confusion. It actually becomes destructive.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. So if knowledge is just raw energy, it's like a raging river.
I like that analogy.
It has this massive amount of power. But if it's just flowing wildly, it floods the banks, it washes away homes, or it just sort of dissipates into the sea without doing anything useful.
It has energy, but no purpose.
Right. But when you add self-control and self-discipline to that river, you're basically building a dam.
Yes.
You're channeling that water.
Yes.
You don't destroy the river's energy, you harness it.
Yeah.
And suddenly that wild, raw energy becomes electricity, and you can light up an entire city.
That's a perfect way to look at it. Gyan is that directed, purposeful electricity. It's the wisdom to know when to speak and when to remain silent.
Wow.
It's the ability to take in a situation, process the raw facts, and then respond with disciplined intention rather than just, reacting emotionally.
So we need Gyan. We need that harnessed energy, but assuming I can cultivate some of this self-disciplined energy, where exactly am I supposed to point it?
Well, the reflections draw a really sharp contrast between two different ways of looking for the divine. There's the traditional view, and then there's the omnipresent view.
Okay, let's unpack this. The traditional view is kind of the default setting for most of us, right?
For much of human history, yeah. It looks for the divine purely through specific names and very specific forms.
Like divinity is localized, it looks a certain way, it goes by a certain name.
And you can only find it if you adhere to those exact parameters.
I understand the appeal of that. The human brain loves categories. We like having a specific address for things. If I need milk, I go to the grocery store. If I want to find the divine, I go to a specific designated address with a specific name on the door.
It makes a complex universe feel manageable.
It really does.
But it also makes it incredibly limited. If you're deeply attached to the traditional view and you don't see that specific name or that specific form, you might conclude that the divine is simply absent.
Oh, wow. So it creates a worldview where most of the universe is empty and only a few tiny pockets are secret.
Exactly. The omnipresent view flips that entirely.
Yeah.
It asks us to recognize divinity not as a static, rigid form in a specific location, but as a fluid, dynamic essence that's present absolutely everywhere.
But wait, if it's everywhere, why do we default to putting it in specific boxes with specific names?
That's the friction this proposal wants us to confront. If divinity is truly omnipresent, it can't be conditional on our human preferences for beauty or quiet.
Like, it's easy to stand on a beautiful mountain at sunrise and say, wow, the omnipresent divine essence. But what about a crowded, noisy train station during rush hour? Or, like, a landfill? Is this fluid essence in the garbage, too?
That's exactly it. When we look at a landfill, we're looking at the byproduct of human consumption, sure. But the materials there, the carbon, the degrading organic matter, that's all part of the continuous cycle of the Earth.
Right.
The omnipresent view challenges us to look past our surface-level aesthetic judgments. It's about recognizing the fundamental life force and atomic reality that binds everything together, even the things we find unpleasant.
So we miss it because we're only looking for a very specific, pretty package.
Yes.
And because we don't see it, we completely ignore the fact that it's raining all around us.
And the moment you stop looking for the package and start feeling the rain, you realize how deeply connected everything is. Which brings us right back to that thought experiment you opened the show with, the inquiry of the borderless planet.
Right. Here's where it gets really interesting. If the traditional view is correct, if these rigid, separate names and forms are the ultimate reality, why wouldn't the universe reflect that physically?
It highlights a huge contradiction in human behavior. We invent vastly different belief systems, and then we draw lines in the dirt. We say, my group belongs on this side, and your group belongs on that side.
We build these massive walls between us based on belief, but the universe put us all in the exact same room.
Exactly. The Earth itself is a single, continuous, borderless sphere.
I mean, you look at a map, and it's covered in lines. But if you're an astronaut looking down, those lines just do not exist. The dirt doesn't change color when it crosses a human-made border.
The clouds don't stop and ask for a passport.
Exactly.
The natural world completely ignores our divisions. It operates as one unified system, which suggests that the underlying reality of our existence is shared and unified.
So does this shared, borderless planet suggest that maybe our divisions are entirely human-made?
Yes. The fierce arguments over whose specific name for the divine is correct. These are entirely human inventions superimposed onto a reality that is fundamentally one.
So if we're all sharing this one room, this one planet, how hard is it to actually connect with this omnipresent divinity? Like, do I need to sit in silence for 20 years to access it?
Not at all. And this is perhaps the most empowering part of the entire proposal. It explicitly states that you do not need any supernatural powers to recognize and experience this.
No glowing aura required. No levitation.
None. You don't need to be a mystic, a saint, or a scholar. Because we are all ordinary, we are actually perfectly equipped, extraordinary, even to recognize this divine essence.
I love that. You don't need a VIP pass or years of extreme isolation. You just have to open your eyes.
The only requirement is the desire and the readiness to look. It's entirely accessible right now to anyone listening.
But if it's so accessible, why do so many of us struggle to see it? Why is the world so disconnected?
That brings us to how we are raised. The reflections point to a very specific culprit, and they call it the burden of armor.
The burden of armor.
As we grow from children into adults, society and our parents cover us in these armor-like layers of social conditioning.
And the sources are really specific about these layers, right? They list name, religion, competition, and success and failure.
Yes. And nobody puts this armor on a child maliciously. Parents and society give us these layers as a shield for protection. They want us to survive in a complex world.
So you give a child a name to give them an identity. You give them religion to give them a moral compass. You teach them competition because, well, resources are limited.
And you teach them the rules of success and failure so they don't suffer. It all starts out as a protective shield.
But then what goes wrong?
As we age, these layers stack up, they harden. We begin to identify entirely with the armor rather than the person underneath it, and eventually they act as a burden. They progressively dim our natural inner light and block us from seeing the omnipresent divinity.
It's totally like putting too many heavy winter coats on a child.
Yes, exactly.
You think you're protecting them from the cold, but eventually they can't move, they can't feel the sun on their skin, and they just lose their natural freedom.
That's exactly how the burden of armor operates psychologically. The name mutates into ego. Religion hardens into tribalism. Competition forces us to see each other as obstacles.
And success and failure just keep us constantly anxious.
Right. So all these layers stack up, and we can't see the omnipresent divinity because we're basically staring at the inside of our own helmet.
Wow. Okay, so how do we peek through this heavy armor? Where is the easiest place to start seeing this inner light in the real world?
The sources suggest looking at ordinary people close to us, and they specifically highlight the farmer.
The farmer. That's fascinating. Why the farmer?
Because we easily give respect to famous historical figures or brilliant scientists. We build statues for them. But the text argues that the farmer living quietly near us deserves that exact same level of reverence.
Wait, really? The same reverence as someone who, changed the world with a scientific discovery?
Yes. Because when you strip away the societal armor that tells you intellectual work is higher than physical work, look at what the farmer actually does. Through physical, mental, and spiritual labor, they provide the life-giving nutrition that sustains our healthy bodies.
And they work in a perfect coexistence with nature.
Exactly. They aren't trying to conquer the earth, they're partnering with it. This is a profound manifestation of the divine in everyday life.
I mean, think about the food on your plate right now. The sheer dedication and harmony with nature it took to get there. That is divinity in action. No grand titles required.
It completely reframes how you look at the world, and this realization that the farmer's labor is divine leads to a much larger understanding of how we are all linked together.
Right, which brings us to the node network metaphor.
Yes. Imagine existence as a vast network of connected nodes. Because divinity is in every element, every person, place, or thing is a node in this divine network.
So you're a node, I'm a node, the farmer is a node.
Even the tree outside your window, everything is a node.
So what does this all mean for our daily interactions?
Well, the insight here is huge because God is in every unit of existence. Hurting anyone or anything means you are directly hurting the divine.
Wow.
There is a deep contradiction in claiming to cherish the divine in our thoughts and beliefs, but ignoring it in our reality by hurting others.
It means you can't separate how you treat the environment or your neighbor from how you treat the divine.
You really can't.
You can't say you love the network while you're actively smashing the nodes.
That's a perfect modern equivalent. And this powerful realization shifts our focus from seeking the divine outwardly to seeking it inwardly, which is perfectly captured in a famous song mentioned in our sources.
Yes, the Marathi song, Shodishi Manava.
Right. The lyrics ask a very direct question. O human, why do you seek in external shrines?
Why do you seek in external shrines? We spend so much time and money traveling to these, specific physical structures, places of worship.
The song points out the irony of that human quest. We wander far and wide looking for the divine in built structures, playing what it calls a blind game.
A blind game.
Yeah, while completely ignoring that the divine resides within our own heart.
It's so easy to fall into that trap, isn't it? Thinking that a physical journey equates to spiritual progress when the actual destination's within yourself. Feels good to pack a bag and go somewhere. It feels like you're doing something.
It does. But facing your own ego, cultivating that self-discipline, that's the real work.
But it's not just inside us, right? Because once you find it inside, this inner shrine reflects the beauty of the world outside, turning the natural world into its own kind of sacred journey.
Exactly. This transitions us to the pilgrimage of creation. Nature itself is the ultimate pilgrimage. The sources highlight 3 specific sensory experiences for this: the fragrance of a petal, the flow of a stream, and the melody of a flute.
I love that. Smell, touch, hearing.
You don't need to travel to a distant holy site. The divine is calling out to you in the blooming of a flower, the life-giving nectar of flowing water, and music that seems to come from nowhere. Life itself is the sacred ground.
So next time you smell a flower or hear a beautiful piece of music, pause. Recognize that this isn't just background noise, it's the divine saying hello.
It's such a joyful way to live.
It is, but if we accept that nature is the pilgrimage and the divine is within us, we have to completely rethink what it means to be a good or righteous person.
We do. And this brings us to redefining worship, or puja, and merit, or punya.
Because the deep dive challenges those traditional actions, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is spiritual merit truly found through rituals, offerings, and acts of charity?
The synthesis of the source says, no, not really. True worship and righteousness are not transactional. It's not about putting a coin in a cosmic vending machine and getting a blessing back.
Right.
It is about seeking divinity in your own life, your daily actions, and your behavior towards others.
Honestly, that is a massive relief. You don't need a complex ritual to do the right thing. Just live your life with the awareness that the divine is in the person serving you coffee, in your family, in your work.
Your daily behavior becomes your worship.
This brings us to the final, unifying thought of our journey through these sources today. We've covered the borderless planet, the burden of armor, the farmer, the node network.
And the final takeaway really brings all the dots together. It is much easier and so much more profound to see divinity in all things than to view deities purely by their specific names and rigid forms.
Because defending those rigid boxes is exhausting.
It really is. This approach strips away that burden of armor we talked about. It leaves us with a simple, pure connection to the world around us. The readiness to look is all you need.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you, the listener, with one final thing to chew on. We talked about how every person and thing is a node in this divine network. And it's easy to see that in a flower or a kind farmer.
Oh, definitely.
But if the divine is in absolutely everything, including the things and people that frustrate you the most, how does that change the way you handle your next argument or your next failure? If your enemies or your obstacles are also part of that node network, how does that rewrite the rules of your life?
That is the ultimate test of Gyan right there.
It really is. Thank you so much for joining us on this inner quest today in the deep dive. Remember, the readiness to look is all you need. Keep looking. Take care.
Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe to this channel in all your circles. Also, please fill the Google form by clicking on the link given in the description section of this video on YouTube. We will keep you informed about the launch dates of your favorite courses. Thank you.